Welcome to SAM Conversation, a program of South Asia Monitor. We are going to look at how Balochistan rebels have stepped up their attacks against Pakistan. To throw light on this, it is our pleasure to welcome Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry and the first officer to set foot on Siachen with his detachment in March 1984. He's had more than enough of deployment on both the line of control between India and Pakistan and the line of actual control between India and Tibet occupied by China. I think it's been a very, very active month of March. On the 11th of March, the Jafar Express, a train from Quetta to Peshawar, was hijacked by the Baloch Liberation Army, and hijacked in such a way that out of its 450 odd passengers, about over 200 reportedly of Pakistan Army or security agencies are reported killed. The civilians are reported to be freed or in the process of being freed. Although the Pakistan Army's ISPR, that's Integrated Service Public Relations, Inter-Service Public Relations, their reports paint a bright picture of the Pakistan Army, which does not exist on ground, of freeing, civilian passengers. Then comes the attack on 16th, in which out of a convoy of 9 vehicles of Pakistan Army, 1 is completely destroyed and about 90 Pakistani soldiers are reported killed. It's quite a month of madness, because between the 48 hours of 15th to 17th of March 2025, there have been 57 attacks by Baloch rebels against Pakistan Army. I think I will begin by asking General Kulkarni to very briefly give us the background of how Balochistan became part of Pakistan between 1947 and 48. General Kulkarni?
Sir, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Pleasure interacting with you. It has always been a pleasure while in service, and definitely now as a veteran, I find it so comfortable to be with you.
Likewise.
At the very outset, I must say, yes, it's a very important topic that you've decided to speak on, and that primarily deals with Balochistan. Now, Balochistan, as a province of Pakistan, which is considered to be almost 44% of the area of Pakistan is Balochistan, and approximately about 5% of the population of Pakistan is in Balochistan. So, having said that, Balochistan as a province joined Pakistan, or rather the instrument of accession got signed on the 27th of March 1948. And therefore, as you can see, the independence is the 15th of August 1947, and there's been almost about 226 days of independence of Balochistan till it finally got merged with Pakistan. And that also has a very interesting story, because on the 4th of August 1947, Khan of Kalat had accompanied by, of course, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, those days, since he was also a lawyer and advocate of repute, he had decided to represent the Khan of Kalat primarily with a view to be able to get them independence. So that was the purpose for which he was to meet, and he was to meet Mountbatten. And with Pandit Nehru, Mountbatten, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the case being represented by Muhammad Ali Jinnah was that the Khan of Kalat must be given independence because they didn't want to join India or Pakistan. And as yet, the 15th of August hadn't arrived. It was just the 4th of August, 1947. So all this was going on. Having said that, it is reported that yes, it was accepted, but as soon as after the 15th of August 1947, probably under the pressure from the British, because the British wanted a foothold in this entire area, and they always feared Russia, and they wanted some kind of a eyes and ears in this area, and they did that even in Gilgit-Baltistan, and they wanted to do it in Balochistan also. So that independence was definitely not something which the Britishers were also in favor of. And therefore, it did work out in the interest of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. They took an entirely U-turn, representing the Khan of Kalat for independence. Instead, got them to sign the instrument of accession on the 27th of March, 1948. And the very next day, his brother Abdul Karim decided to launch, having disagreed with his brother, that was not what the Baluchis would want. And therefore, the main aim of the independence had been fought. So insurgency started. So the first, I would say, the round of insurgency in the 50s, the second round of insurgency in 60s, the third round of insurgency in 70s, and now first, second, third, then the fourth round.
This is the fifth. This is the fifth round which has continued till date.
Absolutely. You're right. The fifth round of insurgency since 2004 is what could be said, which actually took a firm rooting, and it's been on continuously for the last about 20 odd years, primarily because I would say Musharraf is responsible for this round of insurgency, because it was he who got Bukti in 2006 killed, because he had wanted to meet him to settle the issue. But after what happened at the Army Public School in Peshawar, where almost about 100 plus children died, and Musharraf himself was also attacked, and there was so many things that were happening. He probably didn't see Bukti in that light, though Bukti, a 79-year-old man, a very, very respectable and very, very someone who had tremendous amount of following as part of...
Very highly respected. Very highly respected.
Yes, very, very respected among the Baluchis. And therefore, after his death, there has never been a day when the Pakistan security forces have not been on their feet, because the area is such.
And in fact, just before that, a spark of point was the rape of a lady doctor.
This rape
by
of lady
a Pakistan Army major, fact which was denied by Musharraf.
Absolutely. Denied, and it happened in Balochistan. And that led to women coming in forefront. And so you find the Baluchi is not just in a more such an orthodox society. It was the women in Balochistan who are also in the front line, and you hear them. Yeah. And not just that, the women are so much in forefront that one of the women she was a suicide bomber for 3 Chinese instructors being killed.
She killed 4 amongst, including 3 Chinese.
Yeah, including all 3 were Chinese language teachers who were killed by this lady on a what could be termed as a suicide bomber.
Suicide bombing.
Absolutely, never happens. A woman, a suicide bomber.
Absolutely.
Imagine what kind of motivation has led them to believe that their future does not lie with Pakistan. The only future that is there for Balochistan, which is rich in mineral resources, so much rich that gold, silver, copper, you have kinds of minerals there, besides, of course, oil, gas, and the coal. So much of it there. The Brazilian firms are there digging gold. And after so many years, you suddenly found that the Pakistanis gave not more than 5% royalties to the Baluchis. And therefore, a population which is so little and so rich in mineral resource, and one of the biggest province of Pakistan, which has a spillover of Baluchis into Iran and also into Afghanistan. So along the Durand line, which is over 2,600 kilometers, almost 1,600 odd kilometers of border with Afghanistan is that of Balochistan. And approximately about 900 kilometers of border lies with Iran, which they call it the Sistan province, where
Pakistan,
they
yes.
call it the
Yes.
Balochistan. So you have Baluchis in Iran, you have Baluchis in Afghanistan, and you have a sizable number of Baluchis in Balochistan. So
Yes.
this kind, and Gwadar, the port, was supposedly at for time of independence with the Sultan of Oman. So it was Oman which had Gwadar and the thing. So in this kind of a thing which they never wanted to, and Pakistan performed, the Pakistani
So,
army
in
administration,
fact,
sir, they did not care.
they were
Yeah,
looted. They were looted outright
absolutely.
by Pakistan, particularly through its army. My next question to you is: could you please throw light on the growth of the rebel insurgency, uh, particularly the fifth one, um, and how it grew to a stage that we'll come later to what happened very recently.
This entire episode, and you find right from the time, every time there have been incidents, the Balochistan Liberation Army seems to be taking complete responsibility for what is happening. Though there are other fringe elements also, though the Balochistan Liberation Front is one of the oldest, which got actually got raised in Syria. But the
Yes, yes,
Balochistan Liberation Army has got raised just around 2000. And therefore, it's a very fresh insurgent freedom fighter group, which seems to feel very strongly that their future lies entirely in getting freedom, independence from Pakistan. Much that Pakistan has been wanting to say that no, about 75% of the Baluchis want autonomy and not independence. It's just the other way around. All of them almost want independence, so much so that even who they call as the Maulana Diesel, and that Maulana Diesel who gave a statement in the parliament to say that Baluchistan, 6 odd districts, Baluchistan has about 39 districts, of which about 6 to 7 districts do not even fly the Pakistani flag, and at very point of time they would declare their independence, and he himself said it in the parliament that the UN would not hesitate to recognize that part as Baluchistan. So please be careful, and therefore do not ignore these people. Do not see them in a different light, and it will be in the interest of the Pakistani state that these people must be looked after. But to top it up, the Pakistanis, what have they done? They've allowed China, sir. Now, the China angle, ever since it's come into Balochistan because of the Gwadar port, where the Chinese are looking for into the warm water, right from Kunjara Pass and going right along the CPEC, which the Chinese have not only developed Gwadar port, there is nothing in Balochistan, not even proper drinking water and neither electricity, which the Chinese are supposedly investing $50 billion in making this particular CPEC, China-Pakistan economic corridor,
yes,
and
yes.
giving Pakistan a feeling that they're going to make Dubai into Balochistan. What to talk of Dubai? Even the Gwadar
No,
International
they
Airport.
have further looted. They have further looted very basic things like water.
So,
Water.
there is absolutely right. Yeah, Anil sir, you'll be surprised that the Chinese haven't invested. They are not there for charity. If they've invested money, they're going to take at least
Of course,
10
of
times
course.
more than what they've invested. So the Baluchis have lost the fishing rights in and along the Gwadar port. That is one. The electricity also to the international airport at Gwadar is coming from Iran. So much so is the state of electricity over there. The Baluchis themselves have nothing. The development is zero. The number of people per square kilometer is just between about 43 people per square kilometer. Balochistan itself is about 3,15,000 square kilometer of an area, and most of the population is in and around Quetta, which is supposed to be the capital. So therefore, when we talk of the Zafar Express, which is supposed to leave from Quetta to Peshawar, a distance of about 632 odd kilometers, which they would cover it would start at 9 in the morning and reach at 7 in the morning the next day at Peshawar. This is the length. And this it got hijacked, I would say, just having done about 116 kilometers, and it got hijacked. So this complete operation seems to be very meticulously executed, and in such a manner that the Baluchis have actually released the passenger list of all the passengers that are traveling in there. And when you see the passenger list, you can see Havaldar, Constable, Naik, Lance Naik, Sepoy, all of it listed out.
It was a great combination of Pakistan Army, ISI, and police.
In fact, all of them traveling in CVs because they're so scared. Like that Maulana has all along been saying that the writ of the Pakistan Army does not run in Balochistan. So what to talk to the police? Even they will not leave their barracks. There's nothing. It's free for all for the Balochistan Liberation Army or any fringe element to do what they want to do. It is their law. They do it. So, but Pakistani Army much wanting to send as much as whatever they could, but they find it impossible to survive over there. And that is why the Balochistan Liberation Army released the list of people who they had released. And that included women, children, old people, and whoever they thought were Baluchis, they were released. And the balance of them were Punjabis and the security personnel, whom we understand now have all been killed. Balochistan, BLA gave them 48 hours to return all those found missing and all those arrested by Pakistan for years on, and they've not been released at all from the prison. Most of them have been found missing and probably dead. So Pakistan is unable to release them. Therefore, they've now decided, and like you rightly said in your introduction, sir, not only this, even I'm sure the coffins would not have been even buried properly, that they had another incident in which that convoy got ambushed, in which the vehicle that you see in the ambush on the road, nothing in and around the road. The visual images that are coming, there's a vehicle which has been totally in tatters. I mean, I don't think even one man in that particular vehicle can survive.
The visuals show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yet another vehicle has also been damaged. So therefore, when BLA says that they've been able to kill 90, maybe even if I go along with the Pakistan Army and say, well, it may be an exaggerated figure of 90 dead, but definitely 90 are dead or injured, because the ones who ambushed that particular convoy wouldn't be there to see what's happened, but they would knew exactly how many people are in it. So out of 90, presume at least 45 to 50 would have been dead. The balance would have been in the hospitals getting cured, injured, and all that. So therefore, BLA and even if you see the statement of the DG ISPR when he gave the first statement, he said that the satellite phone tapping is revealed that the Balochistan Liberation Army is directly in contact with Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, who in turn are in touch with Taliban and who in turn are passing orders, and the execution of orders is being done by BLA. Otherwise, they find it impossible that such a task would have been done. So Pakistan, who they thought the Taliban was their creation and the Taliban would eat from their palm, instead of eating from their palm, they've turned around to give them a lesson, primarily because ill treatment. And even when initially you found how Imran Khan gave that statement that the slavery is over and all that, and the way that ISI, their DG went up there and now of course sacked and now behind the bars. So they have a real problem because Pakistan thought that it would be a strategic depth. Afghanistan would be a strategic depth for them, and they're not realizing that they do not recognize the Durand line. And to top it up, Pakistan started fencing it. So once the fencing of the Durand line started, now that was the trigger. The Pathans over there don't see a border, because for them, 50% of them are in Peshawar and even extending up to Karachi, and the 50% of them stay in Afghanistan. So it's a very common border. So having a border like this is not appreciated. But then Pakistan thought that since Afghanistan, Taliban is their own creation, Haqqani network was there, they thought they could do what they wanted to do. But, well, it's gone berserk, it's gone totally of what is happening today. Yeah.
A lot has changed. A lot has changed ever since the Taliban came for the second time to take charge of Afghanistan. And
but here you find I would just bring to your notice, there's a lot of people involved into it. The Americans want an airbase which they used it against Afghanistan when they were in Afghanistan. Now, probably the Americans must be thinking that this airbase of Balochistan is important for them to strike Iran. should that thing arise, because Balochistan is a border with Iran and again with Afghanistan, and obviously act as eyes and ears for China, because China is into Balochistan because of the CPEC. So Americans also have interest. The Pakistanis are unable to do anything, so therefore they do not mind earning money, for which they've already been given $390 million to refurbish and to sort of maintain those F-16 that they have. So the hodgepodge, the Chinese are looking at wanting peace so that they could utilize the CPEC and get into warm waters. The ports do not even have one ship coming. The international airport doesn't even have one aircraft taking off. Would anybody invest money of such huge, turning into almost $50 billion, wherein nothing is used? The same thing goes in Tibet. You find the kind of roads in Tibet that Chinese have made, where you won't see a vehicle for probably hours on. There it is. So the kind of money that China is investing, we ought to be careful, because we ought to be very vigilant, because China can't be trusted for these kind of things. Because
absolutely.
capacity.
No, we are talking about POK. There is a huge Chinese presence in POK. There's a huge Chinese presence in Balochistan.
100%. 100%. Huge Chinese presence, because the CPC runs from Shaksgam Valley. The Shaksgam Valley adjoining the Xinjiang province. So you find from Kunjara Park, which is on the Shaksgam Valley, for which the Pakistanis gifted that valley, Shaksgam, to the Chinese in 1963.
There's a huge PLA presence there, because they feel very insecure. They've been targeted by the Balochis quite often.
Anil sir, on this, what has happened is the Pakistan army decided to give a division, approximately about between 18 to 20,000 troops, for the protection of the Chinese engineers, workers, to see that the CPC is executed. China in turn turned around and said, look, all these people of yours appears compromised, because our citizens are still being killed, our engineers are still being killed, women are still being killed. What nonsense is all this? So please allow us to bring our security and to protect this thing. Pakistanis as yet have not given clearance for it, because they feel that once the Chinese enter officially, unofficially, what you're saying may be there, but officially, that will end.
They're already there.
Lost to China.
They are already there, and I don't know. There are very few places that China has entered and gone back, at least in this Indian subcontinent, if we can call it. So,
right, because China feels very insecure, and this insecurity of Chinese, firstly, the language, the second is food, third is their own equipment has come. So the equipment obviously would be written in Chinese, whatever directions are said. Their own people can operate their own, this thing is very difficult for others to operate. So be it in Africa, or be it in South America, or be it here in Pakistan, or be it there in Sri Lanka, or anywhere and everywhere, wherever you, or in Nepal also, wherever the Chinese have decided to step in, they step in with equipment and men and material, because locals might think they're coming, might give them
they've come to stay, not to go back.
No chance, not going back, no employment. And guess who is part of the CPC? All in Pakistan, in charges are all veteran generals of the Pakistan army, who are sitting on top, drawing big fat salaries, enjoying their this thing, because the Chinese are happy giving them and getting their work done through them, and having their people. Everything is made in China, by China, in Balochistan. That is the problem now today, which the Balochis don't like. Balochis never liked Punjabis. What to talk with the Chinese?
So they're a very proud race. They're a very proud race. And the BLA is largely comprised of the Bhuktis and the Maris.
Absolutely.
Who are the most aggressive of them.
Wherever, what happens is, language is a big barrier. You might try anything, sir. He might be wanting to tell me, if I'm as a worker over there, he put the explosive there. I don't understand, I put it elsewhere. The bugger will get upset, because it might just burst off any moment of time. So he comes and slaps me, raps me, kicks me. So I also rap him, kick him. So you find that this frustration goes so high because of the inability to communicate with one another. And therefore, they bring in their own. And the locals feel, what are they there for? If they are not being employed, then what is the purpose of having such a huge thing? But the Chinese will listen to all this, but they will do what they want to do. And
Yes, yes.
Pakistan now is in deep economic crisis. They have no way they can repay the $50 billion. They don't even have 10. And they've just taken $7 billion from the IMF to survive. So it's very, very difficult. You've seen what happened with Hamban Tota, and you saw what happened in Sri Lanka. It's not easy. You see what's happening in Mauritius. You see what's happening in Djibouti. In Djibouti, the Chinese have just gone there to establish a base. Djibouti
No
are
doubt.
already 168% of the GDP in debt. This is the state of Djibouti. There are 9 countries having bases in Djibouti, and look what's happening just across Yemen in Houthi. So there, despite so much of investment by Chinese and all others, they all are on the back foot. It's not easy for any of these bases to be able to survive. But then everybody wants to, make hay while the sun shines, want to have a foothold, because until and unless you have boots on ground, it doesn't really count, because you have to have boots on ground. You have boots on ground, you need to secure them. You need to provide protection to them. You need so many things. It's not easy. Not easy at all.
When you say boots on the ground, it reminds me of the Pakistan Army, which very often it's known for outsourcing rather than have their own boots on the ground. They've been outsourcing, and now they are in the most vulnerable, situation ever since this mad month of March has taught them exactly how vulnerable they are. I must thank you, General Kulkarni, for there's a lot. You said there is a lot more, but I'm afraid we are a little strapped for time. I look forward to meeting again and picking up a whole lot of more, inputs on the Baloch, the growth of the Baloch, and what the future might be for Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Pleasure talking to you, sir. Regards. Jai Hind.